Welcome back to another episode of the Goonery. And as a podcast, we are all here to acknowledge Roman Reigns as our undisputed Universal Champion. But we're here to wrap up and recap WrestleMania 38. We got Brandon per usual, and we got the OG Uncle Adam back on the show to talk some WrestleMania. Happy to have you guys.
Oh, it's good to be here.
Hey man, I enjoyed the hell out of Mania. I want to recap this damn thing. Let's get it started.
Yeah, let's start with night one. I think that night one was by far and away, I would say, the better night. I think we're probably all in agreement on that. You had some big moments with Stone Cold wrestling his first match in 19 years. You had Cody Rhodes, coming back, returning to WWE. Everyone knew it was coming, but let's actually start with that. Let's start with the Cody Rhodes return with Seth Rollins. I think that was arguably the best match of Mania weekend. It was right there with Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair, in my opinion. I think that tends to be the common thought, I guess you could say. But Brandon, I know that as you being as big of a Cody Rhodes hater as you are, I would just love to hear your thoughts. I know we've texted back and forth, but for the listeners.
So, like you said, we all knew it was Cody Rhodes, and we were just very curious about how he was going to be presented and how everything came about, entrance, the way he was introduced and everything like that. WWE hit a home run, but I knew a lot of it was his doing. A lot of it was his influence, and that's a really good thing because he does have a mind for wrestling. He does have a mind for the business. So, it was the right call. And, we texted, and I was like, you know what? Just how they're introducing him. I said, maybe, possibly, I'll come around to him. And that was before Monday Night Raw. I won't go there. We'll probably talk about that. But just in terms of the match itself and how he looked amazing against Seth Rollins. Granted, it is Seth Rollins. He can make anybody look good, but they both equally look great. So I'm gonna give Cody Rhodes credit in that regard. It was a really, really good match, and truthfully, how they're building him up, it's only a matter of time. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when he's going to hold one of the big belts, unless they're actually unifying them.
Yeah, that was such a sick return. We all knew it was coming, but just to actually see it was, I don't know. One of the questions I have is like, do you guys think that match stole the show?
I don't know. I thought it was an awesome match, but I don't know if necessarily the match stole the show. I think Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair may have stole the show match-wise, but the moment of Cody Rhodes returning is as big of a moment that there's been at WrestleMania since the return of the Hardy Boys, in my opinion. I don't think there's been a bigger pop at WrestleMania since then.
And
my other question, it's for you, Brando. Why do you hate Cody Rhodes so much?
So I'm a guy that likes my wrestlers to have an edge, and I feel like he's too much of he obviously has very real emotions for professional wrestling. Good for him. I'm very happy for him, but he just comes off as extremely annoying to me. I can't really put my finger on it, but just how he's presented in his promos and all this other stuff, he bores the ever-living shit out of me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if this offends, but I don't like him. I don't like him, and I don't like his wife either. But yeah, they're a package deal.
I'll be honest. I'm happy we didn't see her at WrestleMania. I was kind of worried about that. I was like, I don't hate her like you do, but I was worried that she was going to make her way back on the WWE TV, and that's not something that I wanted to see. But it has to be validating for Cody, though. You have to think about it. Just the fact that he went away for 6 years. He talked as much shit as he did about WWE, Vince McMahon, Triple H. Hell, his entrance song is literally a big middle finger fuck you to WWE, and Vince McMahon is letting him use it because he believes in the character. He believes in what he is mind for the business at this point. And the reception that he's gotten from live crowds on Monday Night Raw and at WrestleMania, it has to be reassuring knowing that he made that right decision to leave AEW.
Don't tell the AEW fans that, because the takes this weekend were absolutely insane in terms of him being a traitor and he didn't really believe in the vision of AEW, whatever it is. I may not like Cody Rhodes, but I'll defend him in the regard of doing what's best for his career. He's getting paid a shit ton of money to be one of the top guys in the company that he's always wanted to be in. So if people want to crap on him because of it, go ahead. But literally we had this conversation last week, Ben, about how if we listen to the fans, they would still be wrestling in bingo halls or wrestling in gyms.
Yeah, I think the Cody Rhodes return's like the coolest story in wrestling since Roman Reigns. I don't know. I can't wait for them to do battle at SummerSlam.
I that's the thing. I don't want them to blow their load too quickly on the match. And I think I don't know how they're going to take it, because the problem is with the roster right now, I mean, I guess since it's a unified championship, he can challenge on both brands, but who realistically is going to challenge Reigns for the title right now? Is it going to be Edge? But Edge can't afford to lose right now with the new stable. I mean, they're not going to throw AJ Styles at him after just losing to Edge. Rollins and Cody Rhodes seemingly have a program.
Probably Bobby
continue.
Lashley.
But it looks like he's going to have a little bit of a program with Omos now for a little bit.
So, no, they're done.
I mean, but not after what happened on Raw with MVP turning on Lashley. That's the thing. So and Omos obviously isn't going to challenge for a WWE title. He can't wrestle a match. He's a little bit better than the Great Khali.
Right now, the only person is Drew. And it's crazy because
Drew.
You would think that they will hold it off for a bigger pay-per-view. However, you really look at it, Cody will want to hold off because
that's SummerSlam. That's absolutely going to be SummerSlam.
At this point, they have to, because I know for a fact they don't want one of their top baby faces to get booed. And if you strap the rocket to his ass and have him win the championship at WrestleMania Backlash, guess what? He's going to be booed out the building when SummerSlam comes. Mark my words.
Yeah, why was he so hated in AEW?
Because the thing with Cody Rhodes was he was the most WWE part of AEW. He was the only person who was presented on the roster as a sports entertainer and not a professional wrestler, in my opinion. If that makes sense. I don't watch AEW every week. I keep up with it. I watch it here and there. But it was just, and is also his reluctance to turn heel too. And the problem with his program in AEW is that they backed themselves into a corner with him losing the match, saying he can't challenge for a world title. I know what he was trying to do with that, with him just trying to not seem like he was the head booker who's just going to book himself to be world champion. I get it, but they really fucked themselves with that. Because if I'm going to be honest, if that gimmick was not a thing, I think Cody Rhodes would still be in AEW.
And you know what? You brought up a really good point about him being the most WWE thing about that product, because you think about his promo style. It's very it's too serious. It's too rally speeches, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. And you know who that kind of reminds me of is John Cena. And you know what's crazy about the both of them is that because of how, regardless of the whole stipulation of him not being able to challenge for a title, he was still winning matches he shouldn't have won. And it kind of falls in line with what John Cena was about when he was on his run too. So if that's the case, I know he has a reluctance to turn heel, but he should really, really, really consider it if and only if the fans booing him is really a big issue to him.
Yeah, I thought they were kind of playing into that John Cena element, the biggest heel is the guy that, gets pushed through or, refuses to turn heel. Thought that was kind of the vibe they were going for with Cody Rhodes and AEW.
It for sure was. And it was also too, I think people just got fed up with his Captain America type of gimmick that he had in AEW. And I'll be honest, I think it'll work in WWE more than AEW, clearly, because I mean, at the end of the day, he's always a WWE guy.
WWE, admitted to even like wanting to create like Marvel type characters.
Yeah, and I mean, it's gonna work in WWE. I'm like very confident in the fact that it will work. I mean, it's already working with the merch department. I don't know if you guys saw this. I saw a tweet today. Cody Rhodes' merch is completely sold out on WWE Shop already. So he's moving the needle, and it's going to be very interesting.
WWE really scored a big point over the weekend here against AEW and in the industry by just reminding everyone that WrestleMania is the grandest stage of them all, and that's where people need to compete to get the eyes on them. That's what it's all about.
I wish people spent their money better, by the way.
So my thing is too, people like I still see like the AEW dick riders on Twitter saying that WrestleMania was underwhelming. It's never as good as an AEW show. There's a reason AEW can't sell out 77,000 people like that. Don't get me wrong, the AEW product is in a good place. But when it comes to big time events, big fight feel for wrestling, nobody is going to do it better than the WWE. No one.
So I'm gonna ask y'all something. And I think I know the answer, but I just want to ask it just to ask it. Or I'm just being an asshole. But you put all in at the Cowboy Stadium. Are they getting 70 plus thousand people in that arena?
No, I think realistically, I do think that AEW could sell out 30 to 40,000 people in the correct stadium, in the correct market. If they were in Jacksonville, Chicago, where else is their big cities? I think they're big in Pittsburgh is one of their big ones. They would have no problem. But St. Louis, even one of the big, you said they would have to be in a diehard wrestling city. New York, like it depends for them. Whereas WWE can pick a city on the map, they could throw a dart and they'll do pretty okay if it's a big event.
And that's the biggest point out of all of this. You see the celebrity turnout for WrestleMania, whether it be in the ring or in the crowd or whatever. They're going to come to a WWE event. And here's the thing. I love a good wrestling match better more than the next person. I love it. But at the same time, what also moves the needle is the aspect of being entertaining. Entertainment and combining with the wrestling is always going to win. And not for nothing, you can't find many characters in AEW that are that riveting to where it's like, okay, I, as a celebrity, I kind of want to work with this person. Like it's not going to work that way. And I get being a wrestling purist, it's cool, but there's people, AEW fans, that have made it not cool to be wrestling purist. Like that's why I defend WWE the way I do, because they have a mix of both. It may not always be good, but it's always effective.
Yeah, you brought up celebrities. Let's just stay on the topic of celebrities at WrestleMania. The past few years has really raised the bar for celebrities at WrestleMania. You see, I mean, it started with Bad Bunny, with just these guys coming in, taking it seriously, and it's made the WrestleMania product better. I mean, Logan Paul legitimately looks like if he wanted to, he could have a run in WWE.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys saw this. I think it's hilarious. He had it written into his contract. The only reason The Miz turned on him at the end was because Logan Paul had to end up as a babyface in his contract after WrestleMania.
Okay.
But
yeah, I feel like Miz was the babyface at the end of that.
Yeah,
you're not wrong.
But yeah, I mean, if you're gonna do celebrities at WrestleMania, I feel like this year is like how you do celebrities at WrestleMania. With like Logan Paul, like he's got more heat than pretty much the entire roster.
The entire roster. I mean, that's a problem in and of itself. And Pat McAfee, like the Johnny Knoxville match, that, don't get me wrong, that was a hilarious,
wildly entertaining
to watch. Heads off to Sami Zayn. hats off to Sami Zayn for that. He and Kevin Owens are my MVPs of WrestleMania weekend. I mean, it's unbelievable how talented those two are. And yeah, you could say that match was not a wrestling match. And the people who are saying that Sami Zayn, Johnny Knoxville match wasn't a wrestling match are the same people who enjoy Orange Cassidy and AEW. So at the end of the day, it is what it is. But you talked about Logan Paul having more heat than majority of the roster. I think that the WWE kind of is going to have to acknowledge the problem that the most over person on their roster is a color commentator. In
Right.
Pat McAfee, in Pat McAfee, because it was unbelievable the response he got. He had 77,000 people singing Seven Nation Army as he went out to the ring, going crazy for his match. I mean, he was probably the most viral part of WrestleMania.
Yeah, I thought he had the biggest moment at WrestleMania, biggest WrestleMania moment.
And I'm like, he could, just like Logan Paul, Pat McAfee probably better than Logan Paul in the fact that McAfee could go on the mic as good as anyone on the roster. And if you give him a run in the ring, he's probably not going to disappoint. And funny enough, Pat McAfee's lifetime goal is to be the WWE United States champion. So I'm not ruling that out at any point.
And the thing about him, he's very reliable. It's crazy because we literally called this that he was going to be one of the best parts of WrestleMania because we saw what he did against Adam Cole, and Adam Cole get the best out of anybody. But Pat McAfee held his own against Adam Cole. He outperformed Austin Theory, if you ask me. Like he is. You know what? You're probably right. He may be the most over guy over a lot of the main guys on the roster. And maybe that's not an issue per se, but it's something to think about. Like, damn, a commentator. And granted, he has the means to. He has a podcast. He was a punter. He has everything that's behind him that can make him like the biggest draw. But the fact that he's so good at what he does on commentary and can absolutely go in the ring. If they want to do more with them, you won't hear a complaint out of me. Not at all.
I also want to add one more thing about that match. Obviously, it was absolutely insane to see a 76-year-old Vince McMahon have a wrestling match and have the worst Stone Cold Stunner cell of all time. I mean, I laughed my ass off at that for a solid 10 minutes. But I want to give a shout out to Michael Cole. When Michael Cole is into the match he's calling, he's the best. He might be the best wrestling commentator of all time, and I don't feel that crazy saying that anymore as a play-by-play guy. And I can't believe I'm actually saying that, but he's been around for forever. He genuinely has gotten better with Pat McAfee, and for the first time, you can tell he's excited to be calling matches again, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you can feel the passion in calling that match. It was a cool throwback to Michael Cole.
And the way that match, the way he called it, reminded me of when Michael Cole was calling the main event at WrestleMania 30, the triple threat with Daniel Bryan, Batista, and Randy Orton. That's what that reminded me of, just the way he was repeating shit. I don't know, like at WrestleMania 30, I'll always remember the tap out Batista, tap out Batista, tap out Batista. And just, it felt like that vibe again. You're just one of those reminders where you're like, holy shit, Michael Cole is actually really fucking good at what he does.
And it's crazy because, I've never had a gripe with Michael Cole. I think the main issue always was he was compared to JR. JR is the gold standard, at least for people in my era. And people probably in the era before me would probably say that about JR, but he's been the most consistent. You look at Jim Ross now in AEW, just he sounds like he's tired. He sounds like he's bored. And you want him to preserve his legacy by just retiring and just saving us the trouble by him just calling matches on AEW, because it's not pretty. It's not pretty anymore. But Michael Cole has been consistent for so many years now, and I think I said this last week. I prefer the the team with him and Taz more than JR and Jerry the King Lawler. Like he's always been that dude. Now, granted, he may not have some of the best years like in the dead parts we use with the King, but you would talk about him having his career literally revitalized because of Pat McAfee. I mean, SmackDown is far away the best, most aesthetically pleasing. Well, not aesthetically pleasing, but listening wise, it's so much better than Raw. It's such a clear difference.
Yeah, if we're talking commentators, gotta give a shout out to Byron Saxton.
Solid as a rock.
You see, I don't get the hate he gets either. I mean, yeah,
freaking love Byron Saxton.
Is he corny? Yeah, he's absolutely corny, but he's corny on purpose. Like, there's a fucking reason he's as corny as he is. The announced teams in WWE right now are pretty damn strong. I mean, Jimmy Smith has been better than people expected, I think. I mean, it's better than who was before him? Was it Adam Amin, right?
It was Adnan Virk.
Yes. Adam Amin is the Bulls play-by-play guy. That's where I'm mixing that up. But it was just like it's like genuinely entertaining. Corey Graves is good when he's not being over the top.
Yeah.
And
over the top.
Yeah, and then like the NXT announced team is good too with Wade Barrett. Wade Barrett's awesome. I mean, Nigel McGuinness and NXT UK. I mean, I wish he was still calling NXT, but they're in a good place. They're in a good place. So getting back to
is that what Wade Barrett is at these days?
Yeah, Wade Barrett's a color guy down in NXT.
Wow. Him and Vic Joseph doing the damn thing over there. Vic Joseph. I remember he was a Raw commentator for a cup of coffee, and you know what? He's gotten so much better from that time.
Yeah,
props to him.
And do you want to know what? I'll say one thing that AEW for sure does better than WWE is they mix in their talent on commentary a lot better, where they have Jericho calling episodes. They have who else does it? I'm sure Samoa Joe is going to start doing it now that he's there, but Samoa Joe was fucking awesome on commentary when he was there.
He was.
For Raw. I just wish WWE would start doing that a little bit more, because I mean, I think someone like Kevin Owens could be incredible on commentary. I think that, as crazy as it sounds, someone like Sheamus could be really good on commentary. I think that The Miz would be good on commentary for obvious reasons. There's just a lot of guys where, why not? Like, you have so many like goddamn programming. Like, give someone like the superstars to do main event. I don't think anyone watches main event. I mean, I know I've never watched an episode of it, but it's a thing. Might as well like let these guys get some reps. I don't fucking know, but back to Mania. I guess we'll stay. We jumped around a little bit, but back to night one. I just want to touch on Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch. I think that was the greatest women's WrestleMania match of all time.
It is 1A with the Brooklyn takeover with Bayley and Sasha. That match was amazing. You want to talk about pure suspense and the storytelling, and Becky almost pinning Bianca Belair literally 15 to 20 seconds within the match. Like, everything about that match was flawless and had the perfect ending. And
except for that kick to the face.
That was nasty.
As bad as that is, the visual of Bianca Belair giving that promo on Raw Monday night just kind of sold that match so much more to me. I mean, obviously it was unintentional. It was not designed, but like, it's WWE like probably like, oh shit, we could probably play into this. Like, she won that match with one eye. And
it definitely like added to the excitement there that she was able to like be okay from that and finish strong.
I'll say though, I don't love Bianca Belair's character necessarily. I just think it would work so much better as a heel. I would love to just see her start tearing through the roster and just a slow burn into a cocky heel turn. And I just think that it would be A+.
I think now is more of a character development era for Bianca Belair, because she screams of a superstar. I mean, just in the ring, out of the ring, she's a superstar. But yeah, I do think this is a character development point, because you look back to her NXT time where she was a heel, like they could have did so much more with that.
Yeah.
Problem was NXT Women's Division was so stacked back then, so like they kind of did have a spot for her. But you could see like even with when she came up, she made a spot for herself.
Yeah.
Like, she's that special. So I don't think it'll happen this year, but it would have shocked me if it does.
Yeah, I think when it's all said and done, she'll come out as like the GOAT for women's wrestling.
Yeah, right now,
I don't even think that's a bold statement.
She's on her way. She's on her way.
Yeah, she's just the most organic superstar to come up. I mean, since Charlotte Flair,
yeah. All right, you mentioned.
I mean, Becky Lynch too. I mean, it's so stacked right now. Even Rousey, like, just the I don't know.
Yeah, you mentioned Charlotte and Rousey. We can move on to that match. I thought that was a stinker. For how talented both of them are in the ring, I just thought it was a complete stinker. I was happy Rousey lost, to be completely honest, because if they booked her as champ, I feel like they're just booking themselves into a corner at that point. And this might be controversial. I don't think it is at all, but I can't stand Ronda Rousey as a wrestler, like at all. She just like does not understand the wrestling business whatsoever. Apparently she got pissed that she wasn't the main event over Stone Cold. And I'm just like, are you kidding me?
I was surprised too. I thought WrestleMania was over. I didn't even realize there was another segment coming out after that.
But you know what? Like, they were going to book themselves in the corner regardless. Let's be honest. I know they want to save this for WrestleMania Hollywood. No one wanted to see Rousey and Charlotte. Sorry, no one wanted to see it. And it's not more so of I think it's more of one of them wanting to see Sasha versus Charlotte. That just seemed like that's what they were building towards, especially how the Royal Rumble match played out.
Yeah.
And how Sasha got eliminated so damn early within the match. That was crazy to me. But, you know, there was no winner in that match. Because
it's a fair take.
Because if Rousey wins, it's like, yay, she won. Well, what's next? What's next? And then Charlotte, okay, and Charlotte wins. It's like, okay, she's moving like 1997 HBK now, because all these damn title reigns and all these matches she should have been winning. She's winning, and it's like, you know, damn, like where do we go from here? Because this is obviously going to continue, but who's the real winner here? Because Charlotte's a heel, but Rousey should be in Charlotte's position, but we don't want Charlotte as a face either. So, I mean, what do they do?
I have no answer. I really think that Ronda Rousey also needs a mouthpiece, and if she had a mouthpiece, she would be much, much better off, because
you beat me to saying that. She desperately needs a mouthpiece.
The man right behind me would be the perfect person for it.
Right.
It's
he said he would.
I did see that. That's why the thought was in my head, but it was I don't know what direction they take that now, because I just don't see Ronda Rousey outside of the title picture ever, to be completely honest with you. And are they just gonna start playing hot potato with the title and have Charlotte break the record of the world title reigns by the end of next year? Or are they, I don't know, but you kind of insinuated something about WrestleMania Hollywood next year, Brandon. I think with the women's championship, with two of them, for at least one of them, I genuinely think Bianca Belair will head into WrestleMania 38 or 39 as Raw Women's Champion. And I think the SmackDown's Women's Championship is finally going to be the fatal four-way between the four horsewomen.
You can only hope. I mean,
you can't keep pushing it off.
They have a good array of talent on both sides. And the funny thing about it is, this is all without Asuka and Bayley, two anchors of that division. And hopefully they can stay healthy to where you have a plethora of ideas to go into Mania next year in terms of them. But, you know, I don't know why, but I kind of have just lost the thrill of wanting to see the four horsewomen fatal four-way, because it should have happened so long ago. And granted, their characters are very much developed now, and they all four of them have more interesting, to lesser extent Charlotte, but more interesting characters that you think it will work. But if they do go through with it, I absolutely think that Charlotte should go in as the champion.
Oh, absolutely. 100. I could not agree with that more.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it just makes sense because storytelling wise, the three of them have always been chasing her. I mean, that's what the storyline has always been. So why would you stray away from it now?
Yeah.
So we could shift into night 2. I guess we could start with tag team match to open the show. I was not surprised to see RK Bro retain, but how long until one of them turns on each other? Because I'm going to be honest, I could very well see it being Matt Riddle turning on Randy, and instead of, I mean, because that'd just be such a swerve, I think. That, like, everyone for months and months and months has been, when's Randy Orton going to turn on Riddle? When's Randy Orton going to turn on Riddle? Why not do it the other way? Because I think it's just that point in Randy Orton's career where you could kind of be like, push the character into more. It's like, hey, I'm less of an asshole. I've matured. I'm not trying to be that guy anymore. And then Matt Riddle is like, that's not the Randy Orton that I always thought I was with. Like, you know what I mean? Like one of that, like that.
Yeah, he's so mean to me. Like I've had enough,
I don't hate that at all. That's actually,
Yeah, I love it.
And
Yeah.
especially with Riddle's background, I love Matt Riddle. I think he's awesome. I think that he will be a future world champion as a babyface. But with his moveset, he could be such a damn good heel, man.
See, it's one of those things where you can't see certain guys as a heel. For example, for years, I wanted John Cena to turn heel. But see how his character is developed and how he is and the reputation that he developed. Can I ever see that happening? Probably not. So I do like your point in terms of Randy being vulnerable and Riddle taking advantage. That I don't hate that at all. It's actually brilliant. But how would they play off Riddle being the bad guy? Is more what I'm more concerned about than Randy being a face. We know Randy's been a face before, and it's worked. But with Riddle, that's taking a big leap. And another thing too, if you take Riddle out of that top babyface moniker, Randy Orton's not gonna fill that at his age. He's probably there to put talent over more than just beat up on everybody. Yeah. And that's outside the tag team division, of course. But singles wise, I don't think he has a lot of like top contender singles run left in him. I don't know.
I mean, I just think the way that they would go about it would essentially be almost like Matt Riddle being like, oh, you were always the legend killer. Like, you've taught me your ways. I'm the legend killer now.
It'd be great.
It's like
I love the idea.
Like you couldn't do it on your own anymore, so you used me. And like, even though like obviously like that was not how the storyline started, but like you could just say it like evolved into that, like or something along those lines. I don't know. It's just a thought I've had, just because why not give us a swerve? Because we all know they're going to lose the tag team titles and Randy Orton's going to hit Riddle with an RKO. We all know how it's going to actually happen. I'm just trying to think outside the box.
Oh, that's what it needs. I mean, I'm a betting man. They're probably going to go down the predictable route of, Orton, RKOing Riddle just randomly and creating their feud. I mean, they even like alluded to it with the like snake intro of like, Orton's snake biting at, Riddle's snake.
No, that's a good point. That's a good point.
I just feel like they're just going to go down that path. But yeah, need talk shows like this to give that writing creative some ideas, some fresh ideas.
You can only hope. But another thing from night 2 that stood out to me was the formation of seemingly what's going to be a new heel stable with Edge and now Damian Priest. I'm sure they're not done. They're not done adding people to that group. I'm interested to see who it's going to be. I thought it was going to be Rhea Ripley after she walked out on Liv Morgan. I still think there's potential for that, but I don't know. I'm interested to see where they take it, to be completely honest with you, because it's like almost like Ministry of Darkness meets
The Brood.
Yeah, I mean, like it's like weird almost. And Edge is playing this new character so damn well, though.
Oh, he's just so good at acting. Yeah.
First things first, I was a very big fan of Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan's attire Sunday. Just want to fit that in there. But
real TV PG.
The Edge stable is perfect for this point of his career, and I think it's one of those things where he knows his career is winding down, so he's going to elevate whomever is in the group. So whenever he's done and that group is disbanded, that whomever is in that group is going to be a star. I think that's the biggest thing here, and which is why I'm very, very curious because there's going to be another male, and I'm pretty sure they're going to get a female in there too. Who the male is the real big question. I think Rhea Ripley is a lock for that, because they already planted the seeds for that split with her Ripley and Liv Morgan, and then you have the male aspect. So I don't know. It's going to be very, very, very interesting. I have an idea. Maybe it'll be Ciampa, but I'm not sure who would be the third male.
I mean, like with all the rumors of Ciampa coming up from, I mean, not rumors. I mean, like I think it's all but confirmed after Triple H hugged him after Stand and Deliver. But I think it would fit. I think that he could do well on his own, obviously. I tossed this idea out to you, Brandon. I just love the idea of like the Street Profits. I know that you like said potentially like recreating the Hurt Business with Omos and MVP and having the Street Profits. The problem is the Street Profits are going to be a bigger star than Omos. No one is going to be a bigger star than Edge that comes into the stable. Maybe eventually out of it, but I just think that the Street Profits would be very, very interesting in a more serious role like this, and like almost like Edge gets to them and like sees like lets them like, hey, you're not like reaching the potential that you should be. You should have, like, you know what I mean? Like I could just see them being a very interesting pairing. It'd be a pairing that I think not a lot of people would expect.
I think would have been perfect if they didn't do what they did on Tuesday. Have the tag team portion of Imperium be that tag team for
group.
That'd been perfect.
Yeah. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Yeah, the new Edge stable is good for some superstars that need something to do right now.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I love the fact that WWE is finally putting an emphasis onto factions again, because the product is better when it's group warfare like this, because I think the New Day is going to start being focused more once Big E gets back. You have the Hurt Business seemingly reforming. You have the Bloodline. You have whatever Sheamus's new group is called. You have seemingly Imperium coming up now after Walter or Gunther, whatever the fuck his name is now, losing to Braun Breaker. The problem is you don't have many babyface factions right now, and one or two.
I think that's one thing that AEW does real well, is like has a bunch of factions.
I agree. No, I agree. They hit that out.
WWE is like kind of taking a note out of that playbook.
See, that's the thing. I love the fact that AEW has factions, but which one has really been elevated?
I mean, I would argue that Sammy Guevara was elevated from the Inner Circle. I mean,
I'm talking more about the group, not the individual, but the group itself.
Okay. I I guess you could say, what's their name? The Acclaimed or whatever their name is with FTR, MJF.
Pinnacle.
Pinnacle.
Yeah.
I mean, I would argue them more than anyone, but I mean, the Inner Circle at the start was awesome with Jericho. Obviously, that kind of got old really quick, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He's the new Cody Rhodes now.
I don't know what the hell he is.
I don't know either.
He's just running around doing nothing at this point. That's one of the worst faction group names I've ever heard in my life, by the way. I don't know. That's not going anywhere. I'm sorry. If your bodyguard is Jake Hager, your group's going nowhere. Okay. Break. He doesn't move me. He doesn't move anybody. I don't know who
Seems like they're generating plenty of heat.
Yeah, because he stinks.
it's like go away heat with him. That's brutal. Yeah. But I mean, if we're on the topic, if you guys were able to create a babyface faction right now in WWE, play my GM mode like you're playing 2K, a babyface faction, what would yours look like and why? I kind of have somewhat of an idea, but
you should lead us off. So give me a second to think about it.
So I would love to see Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn both turn face. And they're leading a faction. And it's almost like an indie darling faction, essentially. You bring in Ciampa. So there's three. Ciampa is better as like I think he's at his best when he's an anti-hero. They're almost an anti-hero faction. Sami Zayn's at his best when he's babyface. You build him back up as a face. You have those three. And then I think you would like as crazy as it sounds. Hear me out. And you have one member who is the antithesis of what it was to be an indie darling, and that's Braun Breaker. And you kind of have them as like the grizzled veterans who are trying to show this guy like, hey, there's more to it than just like this way of doing, like going about it. We want, like, you know what I mean? If that makes any sense at all.
So you're kind of going for like a TNA frontline versus main event mafia type of thing.
Almost, yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to get back to you on that one. I gotta give that some thought throughout the show. I'm gonna get back to you on that one. That's a tough one.
And I'm just trying to think like history of even babyface factions existing. Like,
so I'm glad you brought that up.
There's the New Day, and then
New Day, right? Is like the ultimate babyface faction.
Yeah, but I feel like it's such a rarity, though. I agree.
Lucha Express or whatever they're.
Yeah.
Man.
I just like.
They're not Lucha Express, Jurassic Express.
Yeah. Yeah. I just think though that with the amount of heel factions that are forming on the roster right now, you're gonna need a babyface faction because you can't just throw random. You just can't throw random baby faces together all the time. You know what I mean? So no. Cody Rhodes is going to lead the next baby face faction. What the fuck am I talking about?
Oh, good Lord. God have mercy on me. But anyways, now when you talk about this faction, does it have to be current faces or current heels? Or are you just playing?
No. I mean, I turned Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens face.
So.
Yeah, Sami Zayn's just designed to lead a faction.
I got the perfect one. Rey Mysterio leading a faction with his son, Santos Escobar, and Garza and Humberto Carrillo.
Almost like a reincarnation of Latino World Order.
Yeah,
you gotta make Santos the star because he's a fucking star.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of stars, what about Montez Ford? Like that guy is just trying to break.
It's not a matter of if, but when with him, in my opinion.
Oh my gosh, he's just so clean in the ring.
He just runs circles around Angelo Dawkins, and Angelo Dawkins is good at what he does.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, Montez Ford is the Shawn Michaels of that tag team.
Absolutely.
What about adding the Street Profits with the New Day or something?
I would add one MVP.
Yeah,
And
I
I was
mean,
gonna bring this up too. Sorry to interrupt, boy. I was gonna bring this up because I did see something interesting. So now I was talking to Ben that I said MVP should recruit the Street Profits.
Yeah.
But I did hear, and there's some context here. Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams was working with MVP when MVP was in recovery. And granted, I'm gonna be on the record. I absolutely hate that they kind of fast tracking Carmelo Hayes. I hate it. But if you're gonna do it, you gotta pair him up with somebody that has the prestige of MVP.
Carmelo Hayes is good, man. He's gonna be a star.
Starring all over him.
Yeah, that Brandon, it was very logical faction from your end. I don't know why my brain didn't go there right away, but I'm happy that yours did. So I guess we can kind of just wrap up with the main event, our tribal chief, Roman Reigns, the undisputed champion. And I still don't think WWE knows what they're doing, if they're unifying the belt, if it's going to be two different titles. They said unification match, but guess what? If it's unification match, I guarantee you he would have walked out with one belt on Monday Night Raw. But then again, they kind of teased an announcement for SmackDown tomorrow. So who knows? Maybe he'll have one belt for then, but I don't know. My problem is I think they're going to try and milk him not wrestling for as long as possible, because I think he was legitimately hurt against Brock.
So that's the important thing to note here, because on Monday, him announcing that they're going to hold the announcement off till Friday is very, very telling that he may be relinquishing the titles. I would absolutely hate that, but you know what? It would be a very, very, very good long-term booking scenario, considering he never lost the titles and he had to give them up due to an injury. And then we come back, he just smashed everybody the fuck up. It's perfect. It's literally perfect. So I think that the reason why they're holding this off, they want to make sure that he's going to be ready to go going forward. And they don't want to rush into any announcement and they say, oh, well, he needs to have surgery for his shoulder.
Yeah, what do you think his big announcement is going to be?
It's either going to be an injury or it's going to be that they're unifying the titles. I don't know. Or honestly, I know he's like a chicken shit, like not a chicken shit heel, but he, like, to an extent, his character is a heel that avoids confrontation until it needs to happen at this point. I would love to see him say, I've beaten everyone. Like, what if he just started doing an open challenge every week? Who knows? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it would be the best way to elevate stars. And you know what? They ain't doing that with the mid-card titles, which is exactly what they should be doing with the mid-card titles. So I wouldn't hate it, but I'm very, very much leaning to he's relinquishing the titles because of an injury.
Damn.
I'm kind of in the same boat as you, Brandon, because you haven't heard a thing. And at this point, you usually would at least see something from one of those random wrestling journalism websites. And it's just like, you would have heard something by now. So I think it's telling that they're keeping it under wraps this much. My thing is, though, let's say he does hypothetically have to relinquish the titles. Are you doing two separate tournaments for the titles, or are you keeping it as the undisputed title? Like, what is, they kind of got, if he actually is injured, they're kind of fucked.
I think you have to do the one big tournament, because that biggest WrestleMania main event will all be for nothing.
Yeah,
that was that was literally the whole point, just to have the titles unified, or whatever the fuck are they doing. But that's literally the point. So if they go away with that, that whole match becomes a wash. It doesn't even matter at this point.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with that is, if they do that, they can't let Cody Rhodes win the tournament. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Because fans will turn on him quick. You want to know who, if they did this tournament, who I would love to see win the belt? Kevin Owens. Give him another run with the strap because either him or Seth Rollins, because they both earned it after their build at WrestleMania, because it was incredible what they were able to do by building those matches themselves.
It will be perfect, but you know who would? I'm so confident in this. I would put money on it. I'm not a betting man for obvious reasons. I lose, but if I was a betting man, Drew McIntyre would absolutely be my pick because I feel that was always going to be the guy to dethrone Roman until Cody came in. So I think it will make the most sense to have him win it. But if Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins messed around and win it, you know I'm not gonna have an issue with it. But I think I know where they're going with this.
Do you think the sword was supposed to cut all three of the ropes?
100%.
100%.
I saw that and I was just like, I literally out loud. I'm in my buddy's basement. I was home for the weekend. I was with my buddies I grew up with. We had Final Four on the one TV and we had WrestleMania on the other, and they're watching.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck was that, dude? I'm like, man, I wish I could tell you.
A bit much.
And then when they like set up the ropes again, like, yeah, it just looked
they
all
were
crooked.
crooked.
Yeah, it was so crooked. Like someone's gonna get hurt. I don't know. I think Roman's big announcement. Goddamn, it's late. I don't know. I feel like he's not going to relinquish the titles. I feel like he's gonna.
So
it's going to be something. Whatever's bigger than winning both titles. Unifying the titles.
Do you want to know what I could see them doing too? If he actually is hurt, and let's hypothetically say it's an injury that'll keep him out 1 to 2 months, right? Mm-hmm. I could see him saying, I've beaten everyone. You have to show me that you can beat everyone else. And they just announced they announced a number one contenders tournament, and it is massive. So they milk it for as long as they can until he's healthy.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea.
I think that's what's happening too.
Because I mean, literally, there is no viable challenger for him at this point. So I think that's kind of the direction they have to go in. Just like, show me you can beat everyone else like I have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like freaking Dragon Ball Z style. Like once.
But by the way, I don't think we really like dived into this, but what was your reaction when Stone Cold took his first bump on that suplex?
Oh my God, on the concrete?
I couldn't believe it, dude.
Yeah.
I could not believe it.
Oh, what a beast.
My jaw dropped. My jaw genuinely dropped because I'm like, this man is 57 with neck issues, knee issues. Like, also, you guys think Stone Cold was fucked up during that match to make the pain feel less?
Oh, that's a good question. I wouldn't put it past him.
Because what is Vince McMahon going to tell him? No, no shit, no shot.
Yeah, he ain't gonna tell him a damn thing. He know better. He know better.
But I mean,
I don't know. He was spitting out a lot of the beer, so.
I'm amazed that it ended up being a match because Brandon, you and I said that we thought it was just going to be, he's going to Thez press him, he's going to beat him down, he's going to do the mud hole stomps, hit him.
Didn't even get that. Oh, the mud hole stomps way real quick. That was, oh man, that was great. Where he's like, pretending like his knee's bad, and then all of a sudden he's like, no, I'm good, and fucking stomps him. Yeah.
God, watching that though makes me just like, it's like one of those what ifs. So like, what if he never did break his neck? What if his knees didn't get shot? Like, how long could he have like gone for and could have seen him and Randy Orton, him and Cena, potentially him and CM Punk, him and Jeff Hardy? Like, there's just so many matches that you look at and you're just like, fuck, man.
He still gets the biggest pop. It's crazy.
Oh, yeah, every single time. But I tell you, Stone Cold is my favorite wrestler of all time. And seeing him wrestle, like actually getting physical with a guy who I am very, very fond of with Kevin Owens. I got like two of my favorites going at it. And I felt like an actual kid watching that match. That was, and you know what? And I take wrestling for what it is now. I'm a grown ass man. I shouldn't be getting emotional about wrestling. But seeing him hit the stunner, get the 1-2-3, that shit made me emotional. Especially for me, my dad, who was a big Stone Cold fan, and to see him come back 19 years later, that was, to me, and this may be prison of the moment, I don't give a shit. But that was a top WrestleMania moment for me of all time, by far.
Yeah, I thought WWE really put on WrestleMania pretty well this year. And biggest takeaway is like wrestling still's got it.
They still got it.
No,
Always hook the casuals in, no matter what anybody says. The casuals will always come back.
They knocked it out of the park. I mean, we said it, Brandon, on the show last week. When you walk into WWE events with no expectations or very low expectations, they're gonna exceed those expectations 10 times out of 10. And you hit it out of the park. This WrestleMania made you feel like a kid again. You were enjoying like almost every second of it. Because when you were younger, you didn't care how bad it was. You were enjoying it regardless.
Yep.
And I enjoyed damn near every second of this WrestleMania. And it felt like the start of a new era. It genuinely did. It felt like it was like them. I saw a tweet. It was like something along the lines of like, this WrestleMania felt like WWE stopped trying to curtail the product towards that indie darling fans who are the diehard wrestling fans. And they just tried to make it pure entertainment again for WWE fans. And that's when they were at their peak with the Attitude Era. And it just kind of felt that way, that they're shifting more towards being WWE again, if that makes sense. WWF again.
And that is the smartest approach, because here's the thing with AEW fans, Ring of Honor fans, New Japan Pro Wrestling fans, they're stuck in their ways. They're stuck in what they believe pro wrestling should be. So at that point, you just have to stop trying to appease to them, because they're not going to be pleased by anything that you do. They're always going to try to poke holes in whatever that they're trying to do. So be your own company, and look what happened. You're still the top dog. I don't give a damn what any of these AEW fans got to say. WWE will always be the top dogs. And AEW, not for nothing, this weekend more than proved they got a long way to go.
Yeah, I think they got a reality check this weekend.
100%.
Which is fun to see, because the Monday Night Wars were so great, and for this, I feel like this is the next closest thing to that. And
and I mean, I don't want to shit on I don't want to shit on what Tony Khan's doing, because I think it's really interesting with what he's doing with ROH now, buying Ring of Honor, kind of building it up as that second brand for AEW, because AEW can only sign so many stars, and they only have so much TV time. So, I mean, you're gonna get good wrestling on all those shows now with the back and forth between the rosters. And if Tony Khan realizes that he needs to catch up to WWE still, those shows are going to be better. And as those shows continue to get better, Vince McMahon's going to start maybe getting his head out of his ass and like handing the ball off to some more modern producers, because you look at the list of people who produced a bunch of WrestleMania matches this year: Jamie Noble, TJ Wilson, who was Tyson Kidd, I'm drawing
Molly Holly.
Yeah. I mean, like a lot of people who know the WWE style so well and still have that modern flair to it. Like TJ Wilson is one of the best wrestling producers in the world, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the list of matches that he's produced, same with Jamie Noble. Like WWE has a lot of great minds at their disposal. And I don't know if you saw who their latest producer is, Brandon.
Who?
Your favorite, Cody Rhodes.
Oh, okay. That's cool. That's wonderful. More of him.
I think he's going to be focusing more on NXT, though, from what I saw, kind of helping out down there with developmental.
I don't hate that.
But it's going to be interesting to see how long that lasts for, because, I mean, Daniel Bryan, I'm not comparing Cody Rhodes to Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryan at all, but Daniel Bryan was a producer in the last run he had with WWE. So, I mean, it works.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out.
Yeah, AEW's got at least 10 like legitimate stars on that show. So it should make for good competition going forward. That makes us all winners.
Definitely. And AEW needs more and more shows to elevate the guys that WWE has failed apparently. So they got work to do, because if you want to go there in terms of the guys that WWE has released and AEW has signed, let's go down the list. And you can kind of tell that they're kind of in the same spot that they were before they left their prior employment.
There's a lot of guys who people are like, oh, well, it's only a matter of time till Miro wins the world title. It's only a matter of time till Keith Lee wins the world title. Now it's only a matter of time till Samoa Joe wins the world title. And the list goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
And as much as I want to see those guys be successful, they're never going to leapfrog Adam Page. They're never going to leapfrog Adam Cole. They're not going to leapfrog Kenny Omega, John Moxley,
MJF. If he decides to stay.
I don't think he does. I don't think he does. I think Vince McMahon knows what he's doing with Cody Rhodes and showing these AEW guys that if you come here, you'll still be booked as a top star. And I mean, MJF is as good as it gets right now, in my opinion. He's incredible.
And you know what? That would be the funniest thing if MJF moves to WWE, because his character is so over at AEW. He said, you know what? Fuck that. I want to go to the big leagues. Oh man, I will laugh for days. I would actually troll AEW fans. Like, how do y'all feel? Y'all lost your 2 prized possessions in a matter of months. Oh, it'll be so funny.
The only thing I wonder about is like his promos are not TV PG, and I feel like that's a big part of his character. So I don't know how that would work with WWE.
Yeah,
but I could totally see him like going and it making sense and getting all the heat and all that.
He's a WWE guy through and through. I just think the way he wrestles. So I saw him at an indie show like 3-4 years ago up at just a bar around my house at AEW, which is a really good indie promotion. I mean, like Seth Rollins has been the world champ when he was Tyler Black. Kevin Owens as Kevin Steen was the world champ. Eddie Kingston was the world champ there. Like they have a long list of like a lot of names you would know. But MJF was there, and that's when like he was still like kind of coming up a little bit, but people were like, oh, this guy's like 21, 22 years old, and he's gonna be a star. He just came and sat in the crowd kind of in like the section I was in, and I just like, he had a good match. So I like, hey man, like nice job. And he's like, you can't even like lick the boots that I wear. And it was just like he was like just playing up the kayfabe, like it was not like, I mean, you see how he is on Twitter. He does it in person too. It was fucking incredible because he was just that committed to the gimmick. And he didn't go by MJF then. He went fully by Maxwell Jacob Friedman at that point, and it was, you just want to punch him in the face, and that's how you know they're doing their job well.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
But with that being said, it's going to wrap up this week's show. It was great talking wrestling with you guys. Happy we're able to do it, and I'm excited with the direction wrestling's heading into the summer, because it just finally feels like WWE especially has their head out of their ass. So excited to see how the summer shakes up. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe to the show, and we will see you next week.